Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to my channel, and today starts the beginner bullet journal series. I've gotten a lot of questions about bullet journaling, how do I do it, or I get comments from friends and other people telling me like, oh, I really want a bullet journal, but I don't know how, like how do you do this, how do you do that? I've gotten a lot of questions over the years of me bullet journaling that I've decided that this year was the year that we are going to actually sit down and talk about it. So I have planned 11 episodes. So this whole series will probably go until November, pausing for one video at the end of the month to do plan with me's. Now keep in mind, I only post planner related videos on Tuesdays, so that's why it's going to take so long to get to the series. But at the end of the series for the December plan with me, we are going to do a full start to finish monthly plan with me, how I plan my spreads, how I decide what to include in the monthlies, all that stuff. So if you're interested, I look forward to communicating with you in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up because today's topic is what is bullet journaling. So if you're not in the planner world, which by the way, there is a such thing as a planner world, we a little lit on the planner side sometimes. There are multiple kinds of planners that people always gravitate towards. Most of them you can buy in store, but really one that I don't know when it really got more hype, but one that I am drawn to is bullet journaling. Bullet journaling is a method that was actually created by writer Carol. He has a website, which I will link down below, which is just bulletjournal.com. He has a TED Talk where he talks about his inspiration for bullet journaling, as well as a book, and it is the Bullet Journal Method, and it's written by writer Carol. So I just need to say that, like, I am not the creator of the Bullet Journal Method, obviously, but I do want to cite who the creator is and why he created it and what I took from the original method. If you go on writer Carol's website or anything like that, it says that bullet journaling is the art of intentional living. And again, I highly recommend the TED Talk. It's a really good TED Talk about intentional living. And it's one of the videos that I watch trying to gain inspiration for my own life, which I guess we'll have a video about all the different things I watch for inspiration for myself one day. But yeah, you should check it out. Now, I need to state that I have never, or when I was in college, I used the traditional form of bullet journaling. So my bullet journals weren't pretty. It was just a lot of lists and collections and just trying to plan out my day to work accordingly. I took a lot of notes in my planners. My planners were like, I would write out my day, and then, the class, I'd have my notes for that day. Everything was that type of situation. So I didn't use a planner the way that I use a planner now. I used a planner just to kind of get an idea of what I was doing for the day and leaving it at that. And then I would write to-do lists just to help kind of brain dump my brain. And so I'm so sorry for the construction noises. But the question that people get, like, what is bullet journaling? To me, it's just, hold on, I write all these things down. I said that it's a catch-all freeform style planner. And it's a freeform style planner because you usually start in an empty book, and it is as decorated or as functional as you want it to be. But the traditional way of bullet journaling is rapid listing. Rapid logging, I think I said rapid listing, but I meant rapid logging is you categorizing everything that you have to. For example, if you do like a daily log, it's you writing down everything you have to do and like prioritizing what comes first and things of that nature. Now, I use this method, but I use this method creatively. I am a person that likes to draw out spreads and like make them pretty and stuff, because the traditional planners, they all have like themes and color and all that other stuff. And I like that part of a traditional planner. So I took that part of a traditional planner and brought it over to the bullet journal world. So look, if you go on the bullet journal website, it shows you how to do it the traditional way. And like I said, when I first started bullet journaling, I did it the traditional way. But as I've gotten better with bullet journaling, or as I've gotten more refined with my bullet journaling, there are some things from the traditional bullet journal method that I use currently in my planner right now that still kind of works the same way. The first thing that I use this from the traditional method of bullet journaling is the syntax, aka the bullet code is what it's labeled as in the Scribbles That Matters. And then it's like key, Then it's labeled as a key in some bullet journals as well. And basically what this is exactly what you guys remember from school where you had to have a key for your graphs and stuff. You have a key for your list because your list is everything. It's events, it's things you have to do, it's reminders, it's notes, it's all of that. So in order for you to know what is what, you have to use a system. And I use a system that I will show a screenshot right here that does take from the traditional idea where like task, events, and notes. But I've also added other things that apply to me, like what happens when you complete a task, when you migrate a task, when you migrate a task, it means that you move it to like another day, or if it's been rescheduled. Like I have all of that in my key, and that is what I use when I bullet journal. Every time I write something out, that's what it is, and that's how it looks like. I get a very serious satisfaction when I see a bunch of X's on my planner, and I get a lot of satisfaction when I can cross something completely out. There is like a scientific thing about that kind of satisfaction, and maybe one day I'll talk about it, but it is a small sense of accomplishment with it. Now, I do need to say this because I also know that some people feel like there has to be a certain way. You do not have to use the syntax that I use. You do not have to use the syntax that Ryder Carroll uses. You can create your own syntax. It's however you want to interpret your planner. And the only reason that you include a syntax is just for consistency purposes, because you want to keep using that same method over and over again. And if you want to start off with something very basic, I do recommend the traditional way, which is the open circle for, open circle for task. No, I'm sorry. Small dot for task that have not been completed. And then you put an X in there when it's been completed. And then a dash for notes, and a open circle for events, and then an asterisk sign for priority. That is like the basic form of your syntax. I recommend that you do this I recommend that you at least use a syntax. That way you can look at your planner and know exactly like what is events, what are tasks, and things like that. That's a very minimal way of doing it. Obviously, some of us like to color code. There have been plenty of times where instead of using my syntax, I used highlighter instead. That is also a viable option. There is a section in my Scribbles That Matters that lets me do color coding. I also have a color code in mind. I'll show you that when we get there. Another thing from the traditional form of bullet journaling is an index. Now, if you get a lot of bullet journals online, a lot of them have pages already set aside for the index, so you don't have to draw them in. But sometimes some of the planners, like the old Lloydstroms, you had to like specifically set pages aside for the index. And what I've also noticed is that I don't actually use the index a lot, but when I'm done with the planner, I will go back to the index and I will write down the pages where I could see myself going back to look at them. Like if it's a memory page, or it's a page where I was doing some like planning for YouTube, or if it was a page where I was just like brain dumping, I have that marked in the index. So if I have to go back and look at that planner, I will be able to like pick it out. Also, with most planners, when you're done using them, I have a sticky tab on the side of mine that lets me know like, this is my bullet journal from January 2019 to June 2019 or whatever like that. Another one that I still use today is future planning. That is the idea. If you've seen on my yearly plan with me, or when I'm planning out a new journal, I have a 6-month spread where it's just future planning. And that is the place that you go instead of trying to create your entire bullet journal like months out in advance, which you can do if you want. But if you're like me, I don't want to do that. So if an event comes up for a month in the future, I write it on my future planning page. So then when it's time for me to plan out my monthly page, I do look at that page to see like, what are the events that are coming up for that month? Who has a birthday, or is there a special holiday that month? That kind of thing. And that's what I use to create my monthly spreads. The next thing that usually bullet journals have are monthly logs. Now, the traditional monthly log was where you would take a page and you would write 1 through 30 or 1 through 31 down the page, and then every day you would write in the events. For me, I started using that method, but I don't like that method because there are a lot of things that could happen in one day for me, because I do a lot in my bullet journal. I have multiple things going on in there, like YouTube, Patreon, my business, bills, appointments, that kind of thing. So I personally didn't like that. But the thing about monthly logs is there's no set way. Like, yes, there's the traditional way that Ryder Carroll emphasizes and created. Yes. But there are so many ways that you can do a monthly log. I use a calendar, as you guys see in my monthly plan with me's. I like drawing out a calendar because A, I can decorate it, and B, it gives me a little bit more space than just one line. There are other ways to do monthly logs. I'll be happy to show you guys that if you want. It won't be a part of this series. It'll be a random bullet journal video, like probably in January because this is going to take up a lot of time. So another one that is used is the daily log. If you look at some bullet journalers like me, we use weekly logs. So in the traditional method, it would just be you write the date and then you write your to-do list, and then you do, like, when you're done, you're done. Then the next thing you do, you write another one. We do layouts. It doesn't matter that it's layouts. You could do the traditional way of just writing the date and then writing all your information down for that day, and then the next day do the same thing. It does not have to be super intricate. I personally like to do weekly layouts because I kind of like to plan certain things ahead of time that I transfer from my monthly logs into my weekly logs. So I am a daily logger in the sense that I go into my planner every day, but I plan it as a whole week. And I don't recommend planning weeks in advance. I recommend planning months in advance. That's what the future log is for, but weeks in advance is too much of a variable for me. So I do weeks at a time, 1 week at a time. I've done that a couple of times, and that has what has led me to do my own freestyle planning. That's why my business planner is rings, because I just make the pages as I need them on my computer. And so I personally really like the bullet journal method. There are plenty of other things that you can track in your bullet journal that you might not necessarily be able to track in your regular planner because there's no free space to add things. So you can add like sleep. Let me see. I have a list. Sleep trackers, habit trackers, mood trackers, food logs, exercise logs, gratitude logs, shopping lists, plant logs. You can actually journal in your bullet journal. I do memory keeping in my bullet journal where if there's an event for that month that I did with friends and we took pictures, I use my Sprocket and I make a whole page devoted to that memory. You can do so much in a bullet journal that it's a planner, but it's also a diary. It's a journal, but it's also a diary. It's a way to see what you were doing in that time of life. If you're like me, it's a way to practice and stay up with your artistic ability. It's a way to try something new, or try out stickers. It's so many things that you can do with a bullet journal that I just say to everybody, like, don't be afraid to start a bullet journal if you've been thinking about it. This idea that it has to be perfect in order for it to be functional makes no sense. If you are actually planning and using your planner, that's what the purpose of a bullet journal is, to be more efficient and be more intentional with what you plan on doing for every day. So as long as you're doing that basic principle, there is no reason to freak out about how it looks. I don't let people see, like, y'all see my bullet journal when I want to show you. Because if I accidentally forgot to take a picture of that weekly spread before I started writing in it, chances are you will not get to see it. Because I do write personal things in my bullet journal that are just for me. So think about it like that. Like, I understand when people say they don't want their planner to be ugly, but it's not that hard. You just have to set some time aside to plan out your day. And I highly recommend that you take the time to plan out your week. It gives you a better starting place. It sets me with the intention for the week to be productive. So that's why I always urge you guys, if you want to start bullet journaling, you most definitely can. It's not hard. It's something you're way overthinking. And this is what this series is for, to help you guys, to give you guys some kind of direction. And I'm very happy to finally be doing it. Like I always say, I'm not the expert. I'm only showing you how I do it. There are plenty of other people on the interwebs that do it differently. and I respect them all the same. All right, guys, so that was the end of episode 1 for the bullet journal series. Episode 2, we will be discussing the different types of journals that you can use, paper, sizing, paper quality, all the things that you should consider with what type of journal should you use to bullet journal. So if you have any questions pertaining to that, please leave it down below in the comment section. And until the next time, guys, bye.